Welcome, Roomers and Zoomers, to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Yulis Aiton, and I'm your worship associate today. I'm joined by Reverend Sian Wiltshire, our minister, and Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, in welcoming you this morning. She is joined by Orange Coast Choir and Phil Chipman on bass. Karen Magoon Pearson, our Director of Religious Education, is holding classes for our children at Estancia Park. We also would like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped to put this service together today. You can see their names on the screen. We respectfully recognize that our church property rests on Ahachiman and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. After the service, we will be placing the Zoomers who remain into Zoom breakout rooms for 20 minutes of coffee and conversations. Everyone is welcome to participate, and it's a great way to get to know people in the congregation. Let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of the church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening song, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee.
What? come in, all who long to know how to love this world, how to keep eyes open, hands unclenched, arms wide, breathing deeply in and out. This is a time to practice because there is still so much good and beauty and joy. But it can be hard to keep telling this tale with all the news and the wind and the rain and the trembling earth. I can't take it anymore. Come in, all who teeter on the edge of cynicism, broken-hearted and trying still to remember laughter and kindness, and the chance to be alive in these days when so much is at stake. In this place, we remind each other how we persist, giving each other courage to take this path that is not always easy, to keep practicing this love that cannot, will not let us go and still calls us on. Come, let us worship together. And boy, do we have something to celebrate today. We have our choir back. Woo! Hallelujah, the choir is back. We have homework. Do y'all remember last week I gave you homework? If you weren't here last week, don't worry about it. It wasn't really difficult homework. All right, so we talked about finding joy around us in our lives. And there's lots of ways to find joy. But a special thing about joy, however, is that you've got to feel it because it's a momentary thing, right? So you have to intentionally look for it and feel it, and you're finding it. So last week I gave you some homework to be intentional about finding joy in your life. And I gave you some ideas about how you could do that. You could bless people anonymously. You're in a crowd, oh, I bless that person over there. If that's things, or just send them loving kindness. That's another thing you can do. You can crawl into the bed as you snuggle up and you think about the best moment of your day and let that just rest in you. One of my favorite things to do is every time I'm at a stoplight or a stop sign, I send a prayer out to people, particularly those that I know that are in pain or hurting. You can dance or tap to your favorite song, but there's all kinds of ways that you can find joy, all right? So, Zoomers, roomers, how many of you did your homework? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3. Zoomers, note the chat is open, just saying. All right, what I'd like you to do this morning, it doesn't have to be necessarily something from this week, but I'd like you to share joy with someone, okay? For you Zoomers, you're going to write this in the chat. For roomers, in a moment, I'm going to have you turn to someone, maybe someone you don't know as well, and tell them about a joy that you experienced. Sometimes it may be a little hard to find it. So if you're struggling with it, let the other person, because joy is contagious. When one person tells it, another person does it. So all right, I invite you all, people Zoomers, write it in the chat. Oh, yay. Hey, we got a couple people who did their homework on excellent Zoomers. So I invite you to turn to someone and tell them a joy that you experienced anytime. It could be this last week, could be today, this morning, anytime, a joy that you experienced. We'll make it real quick and brief. Go for it. I'll ring you back when we're ready. You were- All right. So how did that feel to share a joy? Right? It feels good, doesn't it? I heard a really cool joy. She at least helped someone actually get a job promotion. And what a joy that was. That's so cool. That is so cool. Because that's the thing about joy, is it's contagious, right? So I can actually tell you also some in the chat here. Okay, let's see here. Well, we got a lot of joys. Oh my goodness, look at all this. Let's see here. Marcia loves snuggling with her cat at night in bed. Linda's sending kindness to different people at stop signs and stoplights. Yes, solidarity, sister. All right. Matthew says that Santa Ana City came around to our apartment and gave us a $300 gift card. Big joy. Margaret said they attended the Women's Circle holiday party, good times. Angie said, a joy Zoom with a good friend living in Europe. I know, aren't friends the best? Like when you reach out to them? That's just wonderful. Donna said, I felt the joy of friendship with wonderful lunch shopping with girlfriends on Friday. Amen. Linda, I visited my sister who's in much physical pain, and it brought us both so much joy to be together. I know, right? When you're suffering, there's nothing like sharing that suffering, right? And just to be enjoyed together. Alex moving into an apartment in Portland. Everybody say hello to Alex in Portland. Let's see here. Valerie said, watching my 1-year-old niece throw snowballs. Ralph is playing, his joy was playing with my 2.5-year-old grandniece. A grandniece, that's cool. I celebrated my anniversary, Megan says, with my girlfriend yesterday. It was great. Hey, happy anniversary. And Peggy receiving a hopeful Christmas letter from a dear friend. Catherine seeing a friend at home from the hospital. And let's see, Peggy says walking on bluffs with my daughter and her golden retriever. Gail says I was able to get together with a group of friends with whom I taught. How good it was to see them all again. Absolutely. Look at all that joy. Isn't that a wonderful thing? It is contagious when you start talking about it. You start recognizing the joy, right? All right. If you aren't careful, it can go viral. Faster than COVID, okay? It is contagious. All right. Well, today I want to talk to you about another aspect of joy, and it's gratitude. So this morning we're going to do a little meditation together. Comes from the wonderful, wonderful Jack Kornfield, a Buddhist monk. He begins by quoting actually a Benedictine monk, David Steidl Rast, who pointed out that the root of joy is gratefulness. He says, we notice that joyful people are grateful and we suppose that they're grateful for their joy. But the reverse is true. Their joy springs from their gratefulness. Interesting. Well, I'd like to invite you then into that time of meditation to just take some deep breaths, soften your eyes. If you're at home, put down your coffee. Stop trying to clean the living room while you're listening. Sit down in the chair. Take some deep breaths and let yourself sit quietly and at ease. Allow your body to be relaxed and open, your breath natural, your heart easy. So let us begin the practice of gratitude by feeling how, year after year, you have cared for your own life. How you have cared for your own life. Now let yourself begin to acknowledge all that has supported you in this care. With gratitude, I remember the people, animals, plants, insects, creatures of the sky and sea, air and water, fire and earth, all whose joyful exertion blesses my life every day. With gratitude, I remember the care and labor of 1,000 generations of elders and ancestors who came before me. I offer my gratitude for the safety and well-being I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the blessing of this earth I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the measure of health I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the family and friends I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the community I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the life I have been given. Just as we are grateful for our blessings, so we can be grateful for the blessings of others. Continue to breathe deeply and gently. I invite you to bring to mind someone you care about, someone it's easy to rejoice for. Picture them and feel the natural joy you have for their well-being, for their happiness and success. With each breath, offer them your grateful, heartfelt wishes. May you be joyful. May your happiness increase. May you not be separated from great happiness. And sense that sympathetic joy and caring. May you be joyful. May your happiness increase. And when you feel some degree of natural gratitude for the happiness of this loved one, I invite you to extend this practice to another person you care about. Recite the same simple phrases. May you be joyful. May your happiness increase. And then gradually, I invite you to open the meditation to include neutral people, maybe difficult people, even enemies. I invite you to extend sympathetic joy to all beings everywhere, young and old, near and far. May you be joyful. May your happiness increase. And practice this dwelling in joy until the intention of joys blend into the natural joy of your own wise heart. And when you are ready, please join Beth in singing. Does anybody else have a rough week? I had a rough week. I see some other. Yeah. Yeah, I've had a rough week. A friend and colleague of mine died suddenly, unexpectedly young. My niece's high school went into lockdown twice. Everybody's okay. My sister, of course, is completely freaked out. And tornadoes touched down in the Midwest, right? Scaring the bejeebies out of my friends. All are okay. It just so happened, by the way, that Reverend Judy is in Nashville at this time. Was woken up in the middle of the night in her hotel to go huddle downstairs. She's okay. And yeah, you know, one of the longest running tornadoes in the history of recorded tornadoes. Think about climate disaster. And then, of course, then there's Roe versus Wade is under attack right now. It's been a tough week to find joy, which is why I doubled down on it, okay? I did my homework. I was working on it. Because here's the thing, neuroscience, we've learned so much about the brain, it's amazing. Neuroscience tells us that we have a bias for negativity. We have a bias. It's part of our reptilian brain, that little part that's way back in there and you can't even get at it, right? Wish we could rip it out. It makes us wary. We're looking for danger. It's the freeze, flight, you know, or fight response. But we humans, we're very lucky animals. We have a better brain, a newer brain. It's that prefrontal cortex thing up here, you know? And it allows us to change our behavior, or rather to react how we choose. And we can choose to see the world differently. We can choose to find joy around us, not just the danger or the fear, the anxieties and worries. And it's an absolutely brilliant part of our evolution. It's absolutely amazing. It's what helps us create communities, bonds of love, and marriage, children, because we can see something more, right? We can make those connections. We're able to imagine a love that binds us all together. There's this guy who studies joy and happiness. His name is Rick Hansen. He's a Buddhist and a psychologist. He writes, the remedy is not to suppress negative experiences. When they happen, they happen. Rather, it is to foster positive experiences, and in particular to take them in so that they become a permanent part of you. It basically means when you start doing this, you start building neural pathways in your brain that looks for joy. He says, by taking just a few extra seconds to stay with a positive experience, even the comfort of a single breath, you help to turn a passing mental state into a lasting neural structure. We build those neural pathways. That's the new brain. That's called neuroplasticity. He says every time you take in the good, you build a little bit of neural structure. Doing this a few times a day for months and even years will gradually change your brain and how you feel and act. Here's something, I spoke on this once before, but I'm going to remind you all of it. Because if you're like me, sometimes when you start going into gratitude or joy, you start thinking about then all of the other side, right? That's that bias towards negativity. So I practice what I call even though gratitude. Okay, so say you're upset about something, okay, even though my niece's high school went into lockdown twice in 10 days, I am grateful that the administrators shut down the school and did everything they could to make it safe again. So it's acknowledging, right? He says, you don't just try to brush aside. That's the positive thinking movement, like just don't think negative, right? But no, acknowledge it, but then choose. Right? Choose that gratitude. Because it's not just about positive things. Joy, especially in these days, it feels like a subversive act. That's what it felt like to me this week. Like, I'm going to be danged if the bees are going to get me down, man. And it's also because, quite frankly, I mean, as much as I love neuroplasticity and everything, that doesn't entirely inspire me, but I am a rebel at heart. And I'm going to be danged if they're going to get me down. And I will fight for a better world. And I won't do that by giving into fear and to hate. I will find joy, and y'all can't stop me. So that, not that you ever would. And joy, in fact, is considered by many among the African Americans and people of color as an act of justice. There's this wonderful man named J. Drew Lanham. He's a poet, a professor, a wildlife biologist, and he wrote this poem called Joy is the Justice We Give Ourselves. This is just a small excerpt from it. He says, joy is being loved up close for who we are. Joy is our lives mattering, blackness respected, is seeing my color hue not blinded by privilege, the pious privilege of claiming you don't. Joy is the ancestors come before, surviving the struggle, staying strong in the midst of withering storm, from shackled ancestors through Jim Crowed back doors to gender gerrymandered chokehold now. Still here in spite of it all. Joy is the flashing blue light passing by, not meant for me. Joy is the good news, without new dead names, no chokeholds or murdering knees. A night of sleep in your very own bed without shots in the dark, no more waking up full of lead. Joy is the morning jog without being hunted down. Joy is the kiss of that one or the just verdict delivered by 12. Joy is my seeking your being. It is mine for the taking, ours to share, more than enough to go around when it seems nowhere to be found. Have yourself a heaping serving, have seconds or thirds, 'cause joy is the justice we must give ourselves. This claiming of joy as an act of justice is sometimes also referred to as pleasure activism. I love that, pleasure activism. Here's another wonderful person. This is Adrian Murray Brown. She teaches us that embracing joy is central in organizing against oppression. And she highlights the many ways that people of color, disabled people, queer, trans, non-binary people have been denied joy. She writes this, she says, pleasure reminds us to enjoy being alive on purpose. Pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the ways we know when we are free, that we are always free, that we always have the power to co-create the world, that we always have the power to co-create the world. Neuroplasticity, anybody? Pleasure helps us move through the times that are unfair, through grief and loneliness, through the terror of genocide, or days when the demands are just overwhelming. Pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirit get wounded. Pleasure reminds us that even in the dark, we are alive. Pleasure is a medicine for the suffering that is absolutely promised in life. Pleasure is the point. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. When I asked you if you felt the joy, and you just take a few seconds to just actually feel that joy as it was coming through you, did you feel a little bit like, I don't know, maybe that's not so good for me? Almost like it's a sin to feel that good, right? Thank you so much, Puritans. We love you for that. So here's your minister telling you, be a rebel, be a sinner. All right? Enjoy the pleasure of it. Enjoy that. We deserve it. And know that that alone, just that simple act of enjoying it, is an act of justice. And don't be a joy squelcher. When you see someone expressing joy, join in. Remember we talked about joy squelchers last week? So I'm going to tell you a little story about my brother who was a little bit of a joy squelcher. So my twin sister and I, as you can imagine, if you know twins, we giggle a lot. We laugh a lot. We can be at a bus stop and be in gales of laughter. I have no idea why bus stops do that to us, but that's what we did growing up. Yeah, and I remember one day, I think I was about 19 or so, my brother, my twin sister Regan, and I went out to dinner. We're sitting in a booth of this Chinese restaurant, and for whatever reason, I have no idea why, Regan and I start going off in our peals of laughter and giggles, right? And I remember my brother turned to us disdainfully and said, "You two are easily amused." Regan and I said, "Absolutely we are." I remember he wanted to squelch that joy. I don't know, we embarrassed him or something like that in this restaurant. But Regan and I to this day was like, ha ha. It made us laugh even harder. And I'm proud that we laugh a lot together. So I've quoted you a lot of experts to you this morning, from Jack Kornfield to Adrian Murray Brown. I've been learning a lot about joy and what it means, because I so need it in my life right now, right? We kind of need this. And I've learned that joy is an expression of gratitude. It's an expression of gratitude. It's really an expression of being grateful to be alive, right? That's what we do when we have these moments, right? It helps us feel alive, that noticing, that appreciating, loving what's around you, the beauty, hope, love, everything, the joy. It's about all of life. And that's what I noticed this week, that there's this link between gratitude and joy. You know, as I mentioned earlier, the Benedictine monk David Steidl-Rast, he said, the root of joy is gratefulness. It is not joy that makes us grateful, it is gratitude that makes us joyful. With all due respect to this wonderful Benedictine, Brother David, I don't think it's that simple. I think it's like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? I don't know. I think that noticing joy makes us grateful, and when we're grateful, we're expressing joy. I think that they're intertwined, interconnected. I'm not sure you can have one without the other. Now, Remember that homework I gave you? Remember I told you that joy is contagious, as is gratitude? Well, I got joy spread to me. Here's one person who did. Craig, over here. He sent me this email. He said, since your sermon on Sunday, I've been seeing several instances of joy jumping out at me. This was on the store shelf. It's this wonderful frame that says, friends, fill our lives with joy. They absolutely do. And can I tell you how happy that made me when I got that email? Somebody listened on Sunday. Yay, somebody remembered. Oh, that gave me so much joy. And then I went and spread it, and I went and pet my puppies. That's what I did. I pet their bellies to spread the joy. Yeah. And this is that time of year when we often forget joy, right? And it's a time when we should be remembering it. Or forget because maybe we get caught up in the commercialism, or we look at what we don't have. We see everybody else doing all these things, and we compare ourselves. And sometimes it's just hard because maybe we're missing family members that are no longer with us. But we can stop amid these crazy days and use our neuroplasticity and really take time to express joy and gratitude. Right? For our friends, our family, for all that we have, not what we don't. And I think if we can do that, we can find joy in our lives. Because as I said, it is contagious. It spreads from one to the other, and we need to fling it about. Kind words, even gifts, can give moments of joy. And giving joy is just about as much fun as receiving joy, isn't it? Right? Giving it out to the world. All right. When I was thinking about joy and the giving and receiving of joy, there's something that came immediately to my mind. How many of you here have seen It's a Wonderful Life? All right, anybody not seen It's a Wonderful Life? Okay, spoiler alert, the two people there, if there's anybody on Zoom, if you haven't seen it, you're about to see the ending of it. Okay, so this is the story of George, who through no fault of his own is about to lose what he thinks is everything. The building and loan company his family built. Everyone relies on him in the small town and his family, and it all feels like everything is coming crashing down around him. He even believes that he would be better off dead. Until an angel, Clarence, intervenes and shows him what would have happened if he hadn't lived. And at the end of the movie, George is overcome with joy and gratitude for what he does have, not what he doesn't. So as you watch the ending of this movie, again, spoiler alerts, if you want to turn away, feel free, but notice how much joy everyone generates in the giving as well as the receiving.
Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How? Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit. I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas. Reporters. Where's Mary? Mary! Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house. Mary! 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 Have you seen my wife? Mary!
Daddy!
Kids! Hey! Oh. Kids, Janie told me. Let me look at you. Oh, I could eat you up. Where's your mother?
She went looking for you. With Uncle Billy. Daddy!
Suzu, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine. Not a smidge of temperature.
Not a smidge of... Hallelujah.
Hello? George! George, darling, where are you? George, darling, where are you? Oh, George, George.
Oh, let me touch you. Let me touch you. Are you real? Oh,
George.
Well, you have no idea what's happened to me.
I have no idea what happened. Well, come on, George, come on downstairs. Quick, they're on their way.
All right.
Come on. Come on in here now. Now you stand right over here by the tree. Right there, and don't move. Don't move. What's happening? Oh, I hear them coming now. George, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. What's happening? Who's gonna come, Daddy? Daddy! Come in, Uncle Billy! Everybody! In here!
George! Get her to come. You've never seen anything like it. Isn't it wonderful? So many friends. Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told some people you were in trouble, and they scattered all over town collecting money. Didn't ask any questions, just said, George in trouble. Tell me, you
What is
never
this,
saw anything like it. Spread like fair.
Another run on fame? Here, George. Merry Christmas.
Don't push. There we are. The line forms on the right. Merry Christmas. Coming, George. Merry Christmas. And God bless you. Oh, Mr. Martini. Here's Martini. Step right up there. You all get up. I busted the jukebox stool.
Major runs and massages now.
George, I changed my mind.
George, you got the factory all left out a bit. Here's some beautiful.
I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George.
Just a minute. Quiet, everybody. Quiet. Now get this. It's from London.
Oh.
Mr. Gower cabled you need cash. Stop. My office instructed to advance you up to $25,000. Stop. Hee-haw and Merry Christmas, Sam Wainwright.
Martini, how about some wine?
Oh, I left right in the middle of it. As soon as I got Mary's telegram. Good idea, Ernie. A toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town. That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month we are supporting Hearts and Hands. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, use an app called Venco Mobile, or if you are a roomer, you can also place your offering in a basket as you leave the service today. The choice is yours. As always, thank you for your generosity.
And now, please join with me as we sing We Gather Together, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Every time I see It's a Wonderful Life, it just fills me with joy. Anybody else? Like, that's just, yeah. If you haven't seen it, the two of you who haven't seen it, or if there's anybody on Zoom, you want to go see that. It will fill you with joy. Right now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, whether you're a roomer or a Zoomer, to participate in this weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. I'd like to invite Judith Stamper up here, one of our pastoral care team members. She'll help assist us. So if you've come here holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days, weeks, or even hours, something that struck you at your core, you are invited to honor this profound joy or sorrow. If you're a roomer, you're invited to come forward to light your candle. And if you'd like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it out on the slip of paper that you have when you first come in. The ushers have them as well if you'd like one. If you're a Zoomer, you're invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. Got my little phone right here to look for the chat. And once the roomers are done lighting their candles, I'll read all the joys and sorrows that are shared out loud as Judith lights the candles for the Zoomers. And as music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. So Marcia would like a candle lit for her. She says she's grateful for her doctors who helped her getting through a very serious case of shingles. And she invites you all to make sure you get your shingles vaccination. Absolutely. Oh, Matthew has a deep sorrow. He said, I had a difficult interaction with my dad a few days ago. Matthew was dead named and misgendered and accused of only talking to him and his mom because I want money. It made me cry. I need it to stop. Yes, send Matthew love and light. Karen Kennedy says she's joy for the camera person in Daniels Hall who's doing such a good job of showing us Zoomers who's there around the room and what's going on there. That's Tom today. And Peggy says that she's so grateful to Sandy and Sarah for a lovely ornament exchange party last Sunday. Ken Arnold said that he's sad for the tornadoes, Supreme Court decisions, threats in Eastern Europe, and more. He's grateful and joyful for the rain in Northern California and here in Southern too. Glad services recorded so he can attend the World Peace Conference next Sunday and still see the OCUC service. Amen, Ken. Oh, I hope you have a wonderful time at the conference. All right, and as I mentioned, the passing of a dear a friend of mine. He was actually a seminarian, and you all met him. His name was Matthew Taylor. He passed away very suddenly this last week. He was the gentleman who preached to us via Zoom on Halloween, on October 31st. So it's been a shock. Please hold his sister in your heart as you are able. So here are the rumors. We have Sarah Hunter, and she lit a candle of joy because she's celebrating 49 years of marriage, she says to her boyfriend. Says we have 3 children and 4 perfect grandchildren. Amen. There you go. And Adam Goldman had a candle of joy too. He says, I went to a concert for the first time in years. It was Courtney Barnett and she rocked. That's awesome. Yay. Concerts are starting. Oh, let us hold all in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. And please join Judith in a spirit of prayer or meditation.
These are words from Reverend Scott Taylor. Joy doesn't simply arise, it flies, it flings. No, it is flung. It is passed, it is spread between you and me, between the one who has just received a gift and the one that has been looking for it for a long time. It's a beautiful and elegant contagion over which we have more control than we think. If only we share it. If only we notice that joy is not ours to keep, but ours to pass on. So let's light up the world, friends. Joy blesses us with its exuberance so we can make that blessing grow. Blessed be.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, "We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again." Thank you for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we gather together, whether we are in a room or on Zoom, we make one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat or stand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you are from. If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community. So please reach out and we will help you get connected. After the service, we will have a short period where everyone, roomers and Zoomers alike, can wave and say hello and welcome any visitors. The Zoomers who remain will be placed into Zoom breakout groups for 20 minutes. We invite you to check in and get to know the people in your group.
And announcements. Now, before we do announcements here, I want you all to join me. We're going to light a candle together. So I'd like you to take your thumb in your hand, place it in here, all right? Zoomers online, everybody is here is doing it. And I want you to pop up a flame. All right, we're lighting a candle because I forgot one on the Zoom. And this is for Jan, who writes for her wife, Beth. She says she's proud of Beth Syverson and her students at Coastline's performance. So you got a candle lit there, Jan. They had their big performance this week. All right, so speaking of wonderful things going on, coming up here, if you want some joyful, wonderful, soul-filled events, come to our Winter Solstice singing ritual. This will be done hybrid, both online and in person. If you've never done this, this is a wonderful way to celebrate the solstice with just beautiful music, some soft readings. It's not a normal church service. It's separate, it's at night. We don't do joys and sorrows, but it's so wonderful and meditative and warming and joy-filled, and I invite you to come and experience that either online or here in person, 7 o'clock on next Saturday. And so we're going to be doing some music is going to be live, some will be recorded. It's going to be a bit of both. And then we also have, of course, the Christmas Eve service, which will also be hybrid here at 7 o'clock on Friday the 24th. We're kind of looking at nostalgia. It's going to be kind of fun, like, oh yeah, remember that? So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So we've got all sorts of wonderful things here. You can see the choir rehearsal is back. Just makes me so happy. All right. We have a special benediction that the choir is going to teach us. This service is over. Let our service continue.